We are chatting this afternoon with Mr. Jeffrey Michaels. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Jeffrey is kind enough to grace his Biking Brewer presence with the Beer Bloggers Conference, both in Asheville, North Carolina this July, as well as at the European Beer Bloggers Conference in Brussels, Belgium. So thanks for that. You're a double header in the beer blogging world.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. I love them.
Awesome. So thank you for saying that you love the Beer Bloggers Conference. We happen to be big fans as well. And on that note, tell us just briefly a little bit about yourself and your current involvement in the beer world, and specifically what prompted you to attend your very first Beer Bloggers Conference way back in 2012.
Wow.
In which I believe you also attended the European Beer Bloggers Conference in Leeds.
Correct. Yes. Well, okay. So my involvement in the beer world started probably, maybe 7 or 8 years ago now. I have a engineering finance background. I was living in New York and really got into I guess I like to say I was just drinking a lot, so I tried to focus my drinking into beer. And over a few months, I decided to never drink the same beer twice. So I went through maybe over a half a year, 300-400 different beers, and then learned about the beer judge certification program to become, do a little bit more training on, with beer tasting and actual judging quality of beers. And I love the program. I've done maybe 40 different competitions now around the country and in Mexico, Canada. So then I guess after that, I did that for a while, started home brewing. And when I quit my job in New York, I did a pretty big bicycle trip from New York City, and I ended it in Cancun, Mexico. And along the way, visited breweries. So I would just kind of plot out my trip, just kind of using apps or Yelp to find out what brewers are nearby. Just show up, say, hey, I'm on a trip. Let me try some beers, and it was fantastic. And that's when someone called me the Biking Brewer, and I said, okay, that stuck. So
that's great. Yeah.
Since then, I've been getting more into the professional side of things, some consulting. I advised on a couple breweries in Mexico, actually, a cidery in North Carolina as well, and so with the posts and the writing about beer, I really like writing about beer. I like reading what other beer writers write. I think it takes some time, and there's a lot of honesty, and a good article about beer. I think it's the people who really like beer who will sit and write an article about it. So I originally decided to, when I learned about the Beer Bloggers Conferences, I thought it'd be a great place to go actually see in person a lot of the names that I'd been reading, and different tweeters out there that we've connected somehow. And I believe the first one that I attended was in Leeds in England, and it was a great. It was a fantastic trip and a great time I met up with a good friend of mine who's a wine and food blogger, Alex. So we attended that together. And then it's been a few years, but I'm able to actually get back to Europe again for the conference this year.
That's fantastic. We are looking forward to having you in Brussels. It's shaping up to be a great conference, actually. So on the biking note, so did beer come before biking, or did biking come before beer?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I'd always cycled just a little bit since college for commuting. I grew up kind of, Western Pennsylvania, so using a car all the time, never really bicycled for transportation. A friend of mine that I met through backpacking did a 1.5 years, basically around the world bicycle trip. And then I thought, wow, you could actually do this, like you could actually use it as a mode of transportation it's like backpacking, where you put your backpack on your bicycle.
Right.
So I think there is definitely a synergy, something there between beer and the carbs and the thirst of cycling, the energy. I mean, so many breweries, New Belgium. I mean, there's just so many breweries that have some sort of bicycling angle on their brewing, or bicycle rides that always end with beer. So I don't know. They kind of co-developed with me.
Developed together. So with your new beer business, that's in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, correct?
Yes. It's still in its infancy right now, working on a lot of the details. But I ended my 4-month bicycle trip in the Yucatan, and I think it's a fantastic place. There's some foods and ingredients there that you really can't get anywhere else, and that have never been used in beer before. So it's been a few years since that trip, but it's finally coming together. And yeah, by the end of this year, we should have Cerveza Yucatan ready to go.
Very exciting. Yeah. Do you think that your past participation in the Beer Bloggers Conference and European Beer Bloggers Conference have prepared you or helped you along your professional path in the beer world?
Yes, definitely. Any chance to be exposed to many breweries at a time there. So we had the I forget the speed kind of round of the brew.
Oh, right. Live beer blogging.
Yeah, the live beer blogging. So doing that, and it was great too. So the one that stands out for me was in Leeds, because I wasn't familiar with the craft breweries in Europe. So to go through and to taste and to see what they're doing, see what the marketing is, see what's catching on in Italy, what a craft brewery is doing from Germany, really, very good experience all around from that kind of a marketing angle, stylistic angle. Of course, talking with other bloggers, seeing what they're writing, what they're doing. You can stay on top of the trends. I mean, if you want to figure out which way the beer world is going, the craft beer, what's new, and just it's in the blog sphere. That's where it begins. So I feel like I'm staying a step ahead by attending and socializing with bloggers who, most of them are on top of things even more than I am.
Yeah, very cool. That's awesome, Jeff. Last but certainly not least, just to tie the Biking Brewer back into this one more time. So sure. It's my understanding that you will be biking. So you're taking a couple of months this summer to get to the European Beer Bloggers Conference via bike. Is that true?
I think it'd be more like a couple weeks for the actual trip, but I have some time before things really get rolling in Mexico. The plan's been changing a little bit, but the current plan is to fly into Munich, and from there wiggle my way. It's actually downhill, which is nice too, to Brussels, on average downhill. Going through, Germany is kind of the mothership of beer in my mind, and so many of the beer styles, like the styles from the BJCP that we judge, the classic styles are named after regions or actual cities in Germany. So it's pretty easy. And if you want a Kolsch, you go to Cologne. That's their beer. A Dortmund export it's from Dortmund. So I'm going to try to, starting in Bavaria, I'd love to get to Bamberg, see how much I could do. I've found that for these trips, I always need to time myself. So it's good that the conference starts on a certain date. I'm not just sitting wandering aimlessly. So I'll give myself maybe 2 weeks for this trip. Get to the conference, and then afterwards I have a couple other ideas. I might try to cycle a bit through France, see what's going on in the beer world there. It should be actually harvest time for wine as well. So I recently did the level 1 sommelier program with the quartermaster sommelier. So I'd like to go see some of the wine area. And one last thing I might do if I have time is to try to hit all of the 6 or 7 Trappist breweries right around Belgium, Netherlands. A friend of mine said I should try doing it on only beer.
Okay.
So it's not that big of a distance, actually. It's a pretty small country, I think, but it still would be a lot of cycling and drinking.
That's a story right there waiting to happen. So I
So
thumbs up on that endeavor. That sounds awesome.
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I would love to. Just cycling and visiting the breweries is great. You know, you really you get to see the place. You get to see what's, you know, the way in Europe where it's so traditional. You know, it's a very traditional thing, the beer that's there. Here in the States, it's something new and exciting. There, it's something classic. So you feel it really well as you cycle through.
On that note, last but certainly not least, as you're pedaling through Germany en route to the European Beer Bloggers Conference in Brussels, what, if there is one, can you pinpoint one or a couple of things that you're most looking forward to? We already know you really want to drink Trappist beers, but what is there another defining thing that really is drawing you to Brussels? Is it meeting up with friends from the past conferences? Is it meeting that one brewery? Do you have one more thing that really stands in your mind of what you want to do in Brussels this year?
No, definitely. For me, it's the beer itself. That's always the final. I mean, I definitely enjoy the cycling and meeting. I mean, it's a fantastic experience. And I guess a bit more practically, I would like to do some Belgian style strong ales at the new brewery in Cerveza Yucatan. So to be able to, I think that you have to go to the source to really understand food, wine, the beer. I learned that in England, being able to drink the pub ales, the English ale, it's unlike ale anywhere else. It's just, you can try to make it in the States, it's just not quite the English one. So I would assume that this, and I actually don't, I know a bit, I know about this, the Belgian styles from what I've had in the States, but I haven't extensively visited the breweries, learned about the brewing techniques, and I hopefully can do the same through Germany, perhaps even Austria. If I could get to Pilsen would be great, to really see the brew, like the way that it's done traditionally. So in the end, I'll come away from it with lots of new experiences, but the real things that will stand out will be like the really good beers that I've had, and knowing about the breweries and how it's made, and thinking about them. They'll stick, and it'll help too for things like, you know, trying to brew myself and judging competitions, to have that, like, those examples in your mind of like what the standouts are.
I love it. It's the Biking Brewer, the American who's opening up a brewery in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico and biking his way through Europe and ending up in Brussels to all learn more for the love of beer.
That's it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about your travels and what's going on in your beer world. And we look forward to seeing you in Brussels this summer.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you very much. It's been great.
Cool. All right. Take care. Easy travel stuff.
Cheers.